A lot of you folks think that this organization has done something to Hash Bash. Well, in reality, Focus has done nothing but helped us. It's the university that has attempted to screw Hash Bash. And while I remind you to treat the university's employees with the utmost respect, because as the police will tell you, they're only doing their jobs, I wouldn't want to spend any more time on this property than I have to. So we're going to leave very soon when we're done with Mr. John Sinclair. But I had to find something that would be appropriate for this art community and artist group, and my favorite quote of all times fits perfect, so I'm going to read it so I don't fuck it up. This actually comes from our arch nemesis, Harry Anslinger, who, interesting enough, I found out he died at exactly 1 p.m., which is a great reason for us to, in the future, leave the Diag at 1 p.m. But that's a little side note. But Harry Anslinger, when he was the U.S. Commissioner of Narcotics testifying to Congress on why marijuana should be made illegal back in 1937, he said, "There are 100,000 total marijuana smokers in the U.S., and most are Negroes, Hispanics, Filipinos, and entertainers. It gets better. Their satanic music, jazz, and swing result from marijuana usage. This causes white women to seek sexual relations with Negroes, entertainers, and any others." I'm the others. So, and keeping with that, I'd like to introduce the man who I think came up with the idea of rock and roll and dope and fucking in the streets, which Mr. Anslinger very well might have been right on some of that stuff. But with great pleasure, I get to introduce my friend, Mr. John Sinclair.
Hey everybody.
Hey John.
We finally get a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Thank you, our creator. And I'd like to thank the focus group too for resolving a sticky situation to the benefit of everyone concerned. Even the university can maintain its reputation as a hotbed of free speech after today's results. Good for them. It's also especially pleasing to me to see our traditional event, which started, oh man, they say 1971 was the first gathering on the Diag for a bunch of people to get high communally. I was in prison at that time, serving 2.5 years of a 9.5 to 10-year sentence for possession of 2 marijuana cigarettes. So, well, they're still doing it today. Not here. We fixed that to a certain extent here in Ann Arbor back in 1972. Except if you're on campus, I understand this is like another planet that's settled down here in the middle of the city of Ann Arbor, which has a relatively reasonable marijuana law. Well, I just wanted to say a few words about the history of the event because it started back in 1971. In 1972, it became the Hash Bash. An interesting thing about that is I was in Berkeley, California a couple of years ago. I ran into an old friend from here named Walden Simper. At the time, she was an artist member of the Rainbow People's Party over on Hill Street. And she got the assignment to make the flyer for the thing on the Diag on April Fool's Day. 1972. And she told me just a couple of years ago that she was sitting there getting high enough to create a work of art. And she thought this should have a name. And so she wrote Hash Bash. And even today, in the 21st century, it's still ringing. Yeah. So we'll send a big toke out to Walden Simper all the way out in California. But it's, I feel it's incumbent upon me when I am invited to speak here to talk about how this came about. There's a few events that aren't quite as apparent as the fact that every year at this time we celebrate marijuana usage by citizens and protest against the laws on the first Saturday in April. Well, the first Saturday in April in 1972 fell on April Fool's Day. It ended a particularly proud period in Michigan history when there were no marijuana laws whatsoever. Between the 12th of March and the 1st of April, there were about 3 weeks. We had overturned the previous laws, and the new laws weren't set to go into effect until April 1st. So during that period, of course, we took every opportunity to celebrate this interim period. In public events, we could have our religious ceremonies, including rock and roll music and people smoking weed at the altar during this 3-week period. And on April 1st, we thought it was particularly important to demonstrate that even though we would become criminals once again on that day, we would continue to practice the things we believed in, including getting high and trying to reach out into the cosmos and make a connection. So there's a spirit of resistance that's part of the Hash Bash and that I celebrate. But for me, it's particularly important to be here today as a guest of Focus, because my roots are also in the arts movement. And for me, the making of art, the gathering of artists, the enjoying of art is always, in my experience, accompanied with ingesting substances that will raise your consciousness, like marijuana.